black guy. Maybe your ancestors owned him.
Yeah, that's why his last name is Lewis.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, come on. That was, like, really easy. That was the easiest Slaver Brian joke yet.
I know it was.
I think by the time I hit record on that, the whole setup to that is gone. So the punchline is just Dave and I are dicks.
That's the usual punchline.
Yeah, because it's fucking true.
You love us.
I do.
Do we review the movie first or the audience first?
I was gonna fucking kill that dude behind us.
Oh,
Did you hear that guy?
I'm so glad I wasn't the only person.
Okay.
I turned around and stared him in the face like 3 times.
There was a guy in the audience who was more annoying than the baby in the audience.
The baby only cried once, and it was during the preview, so I was just like, fuck it, fine.
I was still trying to figure out, who the fuck brings a baby?
It's probably the same fucking guy who brought his baby to Battleship.
Probably.
Apparently the baby hasn't aged in 2 years.
I was gonna say, like...
Or he just keeps procreating. He left the other ones at home.
What the fuck? Like, I liked this movie when I was a kid. I'll bring my baby. You know what? If you want to go out to the movies and you don't have a babysitter for your fucking baby, guess what? You don't get to go to the fucking movies. But there was still one guy who was more annoying than the guy who brought a baby. The guy sitting directly behind Dave, who I swear to God, like, I thought the 3rd time you looked back at him and gave him a dirty look, you're gonna beat his ass.
Jesus.
If he had actually spoken out loud one more time, I was probably gonna stand up and say something.
He was one of those guys who tries guessing what the next line is going to be and says it.
Or he was also quoting every line that's mentioned in the trailer.
Yeah.
Every single line that's in the
Let's
trailer.
go, Tin Man. He kind of shut up after a while, but...
Well, I think his girlfriend noticed that I was staring at him and was like, I actually heard her go, shh.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because every time he spoke, I was...
Well, I heard him, like, explaining shit that should be painfully obvious to her.
Yeah, he's a robot cop.
He's a robot now. He's more machine now than man.
Part man, part machine, but he's still all cop.
That's true. If he only had a heart, this song is right.
Honestly, about all he had was a heart.
That scene.
And face.
And a hand. The hand.
How the fuck did that thing even work?
I don't know.
Explain the hand to me.
I was reading earlier that at one point there was a plot point in the movie where they kept a hand for for a basis of like identification and doors and.
You know, they
like
should have kept that line in the movie.
Exactly.
They really should have kept that line in the movie, and I kind of figured that was the case. Like, I'll bet you there's a line that says why he just has a hand, and they cut it out of the movie.
Well, honestly, and I thought it was a callback.
Or it was something about only like, you know, a human hand should be able to pull a trigger or something. Some shit like that.
Well, that's fucking, wow, that's heavy-handed. I would have cut that out too.
Even though the rest of the movie he's shooting with his robot hand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a much better shot with the southpaw.
Yeah.
But no, like, I thought it was kind of like, well, until I saw how it panned out, like I kept assuming like, well, maybe it's like how like Miguel Ferrer has that scene in the original where they're where they're building him,
lose the hand or lose the arm.
Yeah, they're debating over like keeping an arm, and I figure like I don't know, maybe this is like they flipped it and this time they let him keep the arm. No, they just let him
he just has a hand. It's just a hand.
What's it like the rest of it? Like he's got so they take like the whole bits apart, and he's just a case with lungs and a heart in it, and like his neck, and then just his fucking head sitting on top of it.
Not even neck, just some
that scene.
It was like a carburetor in here.
Yeah.
That scene really went into like brain that wouldn't die territory.
It did.
That was really weird.
He's fucking Jan in the pan.
Yeah.
But then after everything's pulled away, so it's held up on this little thing, and then his hand is still just where they put him. Like, oh, I thought there was an arm in that. Nope.
Just a hand.
Just the hand. It's just sitting there. It's got like a little like black cuff on it. Like so what's it connected to? Like, when they pull the whole suit apart, is it gonna die now because it has no blood flow to it?
If it came alive and started, like, running away, oh my god, that would have been great.
They kind of almost give that feeling, because obviously that little cuff thing is keeping that hand fucking alive. So...
God damn it, it just went in that mouse hole again. We really need to set down a trap for that.
No, then it just knocks it off and then gives, King a finger. I've seen this movie already.
I thought this movie was just what I thought it was going to be. It was perfectly okay.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, I'm sure you wanted me to get pissed off at this movie.
No.
It was fine. There was, it could have used probably one or two more polishes on the script, and there was some weird story. Well, not even story, but just character holes. But overall, not bad. It really wasn't.
It wasn't
bad.
terrible. It was serviceable. It was fine. It was perfectly fine. Especially compared to that Total Recall piece of shit that we saw.
Yeah.
It's even better than RoboCop 3, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, on the whole, this movie is probably one of the better RoboCop
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
it's better than 3. I mean...
Well, I'm talking like, Prime Directives, or like the weird animated series. And, like,
that's
like,
why...
if you take the whole franchise as a whole, this is honestly one of the better ones.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wasn't pissed off about this thing getting fucking rebooted. Like, my attitude going into this was, okay, you know what, I want to see it first before I fucking start trashing the goddamn thing.
That's why I've been up people's asses for like a goddamn year and a half now.
It is a franchise. There are 3 movies. There's a comic book series. There's a cartoon series. There's a live action series. There's video games. It's a franchise. Yeah, the first movie is great. The first movie it's one of my favorites it's one of my favorite action movies, period. But it is a franchise. Why wouldn't that get rebooted? Of course that's going to get rebooted. Everything is going to get rebooted. The things you love now, at some point in the future, are going to get rebooted. You think you think that a couple years ago that's the first Avengers movie you're going to see? No, in 20, 30 fucking years, that's going to get it is just going to happen.
If even that we sat there in a theater, and before this movie was a trailer for Amazing Spider-Man 2. This is a movie series that now I have seen 2 different part 2s of a Spider-Man movie series that are completely unrelated.
And the whole thing
in like a decade.
Yeah. It's all about, my thing with like remakes, rebooting, I mean, it's all about timing necessarily. Like, you don't need to be remaking stuff if one of the original actors can still realistically play the part.
Which actually, I mean, I'm sure we might talk on it later, but that actually really bugs me about the trailer I walked in on. That remake of B-13. Still starring David Bell.
But they're making it for an American audience.
Yeah, they threw Paul Walker in it.
Yeah, and RZA.
Which, I loved the original B-13.
The original is a lot of fun. I don't know, this one it might be the same movie, just with Paul Walker in it. Like, I mean, it looks
trailer,
like...
That's what I gathered from it. It was the same movie.
It's the same movie if you Godfrey Hoed Paul Walker into the movie.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a little, like, I'd say maybe a little toned down on violence. But
yeah.
But other than that, it looked exactly the same.
It looked fucking identical to me.
One thing I did like here about, talking about pretty much the opposite of that, is in this RoboCop, it's not a cookie-cutter remake of the original movie. Really, they, even like the cute references to the first movie, they really keep that minor in this, which I liked. I like they kept that really minor. Like, at one point it shows the original suit, and at one point he says, well, I won't buy that for $1.
Is that a no? Is that a no? How was your movie?
Like I said, I could finally die happy. I heard the phrases slut-shaming and sweet sassy molasses in the same film.
That's weird. That was RoboCop's catchphrase in our movie. Sweet sassy molasses.
You have 2 seconds to comply.
Why the hell did he just say that? But you know what this movie was? It was a Marvel origin story, but with RoboCop?
Yeah, kind of.
I can see why all the Marvel movie trailers were at the beginning of this, because this really is what it felt like. It was, honestly, there was a little too much origin story in this, because by the time it got to I thought this movie is kind of slow. Like once he hit the streets, it was almost a race to the climax.
Yeah.
Yeah, they spend, the better half of the movie just building him.
I thought that by the time they were going to be finished with that, the movie would be near over. I was like, it seems like at this point, like...
I give you RoboCop.
I did like how they kept the soundtrack. If there's one thing that drives me nuts about even remakes I like, is that they always ditch the soundtrack for some really fucking forgettable fucking shit. But I mean, they don't play it a lot in this movie, but they play it a few times. I like that they kept the original theme.
Well, yeah, kind of like they did with, I mean, granted it wasn't necessarily a remake, but with Predators.
Yeah. Uh-huh, exactly.
Similar score, use some of the same music, just at different moments, you know? Like, it really worked.
I liked that, I did like, and when I saw some clips, one thing that was making me a little worried when I saw some clips is when they kept repeatedly referring to him as Alex in his training things, which is pretty much the opposite of what happens in the other movie. But when you actually watch this movie, okay, the original one is he's a machine, and by the end of it, he really kind of grows into being human by the end of it, or at least he realizes who he is, who he was. In this one, well, one, I don't need to see that again, because I already saw it in RoboCop, and RoboCop did it perfectly. I'm fine with them playing around with that.
Yeah.
In this, I actually kind of like how when they build him, he is human, and as the movie goes on, he's turning more and more into a machine. Like, it kind of played it opposite on that, and I sort of liked that, in a way.
No, they're telling a different kind of story, I think.
Yeah.
It's not too terribly far off, but they're just...
No.
They're taking all those characters in a slightly different way that I think worked fine for rebooting something, especially like RoboCop, because the original is... I love the original, and I argue with people about certain points of it, but that's beside the point. I love the original, but it's very much of its time. It says something about its time, too. I can still watch it today and enjoy the fuck out of it, but, you know...
I watched it 2 days ago and enjoyed the fuck out of it.
Yeah, but so did I.
But show it to, like, you know, a 15-year-old now, and... Well, they might enjoy the movie for being a movie. They're not going to get any of the subtext of it at all.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have made sense for him to try to do that in this movie.
No,
and they do like a kind of a satire on drones in this.
But they don't take a fucking stance. It drove me fucking crazy.
Yeah, they don't really. It's like there, but they don't play with the satire nearly as much as the first one did. It's just kind of there. All it really.
They're just like, this is the issue this could relate to, and they just keep hammering at that. But they don't take a stance, and they don't discuss it. They're
the only
like,
entertaining thing about that was like, wow, I really want to see like a pundit show starring Samuel L. Jackson as Black Bill O'Reilly.
Is he a Democrat or a Republican? It was really hard to tell.
That's what I was trying to figure out the whole time. Like, but what stance does he have other than robots?
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. It's just he's completely fucking right.
Yeah, they were really trying to hide that, because when it was showing people on like the Senate floor like talking and it had their name, it didn't put like what political party they were attributed to on it. So they were like just trying to like hide from that.
Yeah, it was fairly politically neutral, but at the same time, that just made it more aggravating because you couldn't really, like, how do you relate to it? Like he's just a really angry independent? Like, I don't know.
Well, that's what Bill O'Reilly calls himself.
Sure.
I love that.
Sure, he's an independent, and I'm a fucking...
Something that he's definitely not.
Bill O'Reilly, he's not black or an independent.
Yeah, if he's an independent, I'm a fucking libertarian.
But I mean, it was nice having that in there as sort of like, because that is a very good replacement, I thought, for like the original had that sort of like bizarrely on the nose, like blasé 80s newscast going on.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know if you could more accurately compare it to like a nightly news or more of like a hard copy type thing, but you know, it had that going on, and for this day and age, you know, it made a good sense to me, you know, updating that to just being like a 24-hour news show. But it kind of bugged me the fact that nothing else was ever covered.
No,
Like
No.
with the, like you said, kind of with the satire of the original, like they're talking about all kinds of different stories going on, so they touched on a lot of things of the time, you know, like civil unrest in one area, and like an earthquake or a mudslide or something in like California, you know, toxic waste spill somewhere, and just like laughed it off, like, oh, stay safe out there. But with this,
Stay
it's just
classy,
like
America.
robots. That's all the fuck.
Yeah.
Like if he had thrown out like
Some crazy, wild other story that was going on, like how the original did with either commercials or this weird shit that they would just be talking about, that would have been great.
or even just like a lead out, you know, it's like, you know, like stuff robots. We need this in America. Coming up after the break. Kittens with hats. What do you think? And just lead out with like something just odd or just a different fucking topic. It's like, is that all his show is?
Robots!
And I agree with that, and that goes to a really kind of just a main problem I have with this, is that it plays all of this so safe. There's no bite to anything in this. There's no rawness to it. It has no edge. It's perfectly safe. That's it. And if you took this same material, or honestly even like this same script or a version of this same script, and gave it to a David Fincher or a Michael Mann, or hell, an Aronofsky who was attached to it at one point, man, it could have taken something that's just okay, which it's okay, and really kind of had added a little bit of bite to it. Because my God, it's so safe.
If they gave it to Michael Mann, it'd still be an 80s movie.
I'm just trying to figure out what fucking utopian Detroit they were in.
I did like that, how it was like near futuristic, like the other one did.
It's New Detroit.
That's fine. Yeah,
It is. It's now New Detroit.
It's Delta City.
They were mentioning how it was like, it must have been in the 2020s at least. Or,
It sounded like it.
But they're driving, like, every single car from that movie was from like 3 years ago.
To be fair, Dave, my car is a 1998.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
So I mean, I like the fact that it's like, this is the future.
Detroit
and
was very, very clean, though.
There's a couple newer cars.
Future Detroit.
Future Detroit. Well, you know what? I think we know which way Detroit's going, and it's not gonna be very fucking clean. It's gonna be fucking empty. It's gonna be like Wyoming with buildings, okay?
I have to say,
It's going to be the spot where everybody goes to shoot a low-budget post-apocalyptic movie.
Yes, exactly. Where's the fucking urban decay and shit? That's what That's one of the things I liked about the first one.
Well, in the trailer, I gotta admit, in the trailer, like when it shows them, like the Ed 209s like walking down the street and all that shit. I mean, turns out in the movie they're in like
Tehran.
Yeah, there's Iran, Kuwait, somewhere, you know, Middle East, where it's just all run down looking. I just assumed that was Detroit.
Oh, I knew that from the trailer, because it was mixed in with Samuel L. Jackson talking about robots in other countries and stuff like that.
But it really looked like most of the movie, like, unless they had said, if they hadn't said Detroit like 3 or 4 times in that movie, I would have been like, so this happens in New York.
I thought the same thing when it was showing a bunch of exteriors. I thought it was New York. I was actually really glad it kept saying Detroit at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, and they probably filmed it in fucking Toronto, and that's fucking fine. I don't give a shit. But you know, it didn't look or feel like Detroit in any way whatsoever.
And what really gave me that vibe was, you know, A, they kept saying it was Detroit, but B, they kept putting things around so that you would know it. Like there's one scene, it's just really weird, like, Gary Oldman and Michael Keaton are talking, and you can see out the window this giant American flag waving behind Gary Oldman. It's like, all right, we're in America. And then, like, the kid's room is, like, a decal of, like, the Detroit Red Wings on his door. Whenever they make, like, the big welcome home sign for him, it has, like, the Stanley Cup and, like, Red Wing goalie on it. And he keeps mentioning, like, I taped all the Red Wing games for you, Dad.
That would be like if you were in the hospital. that would be like if you were in the hospital and you came home, I drew you a giant welcome home sign that had, like, Lincoln drawn on it, and, like, the state capitol, and fucking, like, the presidential museum or something.
It's like, all right, right, because we're in Springfield.
Just a picture of corn. Just some
Corn. Yeah. A picture drawing of Gus Gordon.
Yeah.
It's a local reference for us. Who the fuck is that guy? And another thing too, the movie, because it races so much to the climax when he actually hits the streets, which had to have been like 90 minutes into this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not that much, but it felt like it.
They could
it
have
felt
cut
overly
cut a
long.
good 20 minutes from the beginning of it.
Yeah, it really doesn't have much of a villain. Like there's kind of a Clarence Boddicker type in the movie, but he's killed off pretty fast.
And just kind of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah,
There's-
like,
I
it
feel
would be
there
like
should have
if
been
in
so much more to that.
Me too,
Yeah.
because okay, it would be like if in the original RoboCop when he storms that warehouse and he's got Clarence Boddicker and Clarence is going, "It was Dick Jones, it was Dick Jones." It would have been like if at the end of that scene he killed him. He's just gone from the movie really quick.
Yeah, the
and
guy
then,
takes a shot of him and he just shoots him.
yeah,
Dead.
okay, and then but then suddenly Michael Keaton and his entire group become the villains out of nowhere. Just all of the sudden, like, oh my god, he's doing that thing we programmed him to do. What are the odds? We should kill him. What? It was maybe a little bit more build up on that would have been fine, but it was like in such a desperate need for there to be a villain
It
that
seemed like it honestly would have worked better if instead of Keaton being like some like villainous type like
Lex
that.
Luthor type.
Yeah, again, out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah. Really out
Well,
of
I
nowhere.
mean, he was kind of slimy
But-
and underhanded, but you know, you expect that from the business guy.
Kind of. I mean, it seemed
But
like
then
he
you
was
don't
that.
expect him to pull a fucking Glock and threaten to shoot a kid.
That was so out of nowhere because seriously, like, for 80% of this movie, it kind of just feels like he's playing like an older Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool. But then, yeah, suddenly he's fucking Lex Luthor. Suddenly he's, if the old man from, if Dan O'Herlihy, the old man from the first movie, just all of a sudden in the last 10 minutes tried killing Murphy's wife.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't come bad until really the second one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be well, that scene at the end, like, you know, Dick, you're fired.
Yeah.
He goes out the window, picks up the gun, like, no, officer, like, oh.
Yeah, it would. Right? Yeah, exactly. Like it was, man.
But it would have made more sense if it had just been because Jackie Earle
Jackie Earle was great.
is fantastic. in this. He's top notch.
Yeah.
And Letty made a very good observation at the very beginning, like when it first introduces him, is that this is probably the least creepy I've ever found him in a movie.
Jackie Earle.
Yeah, he was
Like,
kind of charming in a way.
Yeah, she's like wow.
All
I
right,
mean,
Tin Man.
he doesn't seem like a child molester this time around.
That's in the uncut version.
He's
but,
just in the back room at Omnicore diddling kids.
Oh my god. They said you could make like a
He's got
Nightmare on
proclivities.
Elm Street. Why are they waiting outside? They have cars.
I don't know, it's so cold out there.
Why are you guys outside? They could have easily make like a Nightmare on Elm Street RoboCop hybrid. They set fire to the child molester, but he lives. They turn him into a robot for some reason.
Oh no!
Robo Freddy.
But it would have been
If you'd have given it time, that series would have gone there.
well. Hell, they had the robot hand in a New Nightmare.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It was going.
It was
there.
really close.
So close. But it would have made more sense if he had just gone fucking like off the reservation and just gone
Yeah.
rogue. Like I need to take care of this for my company, you know, and just
Yeah.
like become the main villain because it's like he has a problem with Murphy from the fucking jump.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're gonna put a man inside one of my robots? Fuck you, people. Like he is just with it, you know, like he does not want this.
There's a reason why the old man wasn't also Dick Jones. Because that was better written than this.
No, this overall not bad. But
Yeah,
the
overall,
the script could use some polishing too because they set up Gary Oldman as this character that you're kind of rooting for in the beginning, and then suddenly like a third of the way through the movie he has this switch where it's just like, oh, so I guess he doesn't have any morals. Okay, and then the next third, oh, his morals are back.
Oh, you mean how he...
I
Okay.
I said I wouldn't work on combat applications. 15 minutes later,
I'm fixing his brain.
I'll just poke around till he doesn't have a personality anymore.
Yeah, that's kinda...
something science does.
Yeah, I got you
And
there. And that
immediately
was...
has a problem with it.
That was even weird, too. Like, they picked the worst time to do that. They were doing that to his brain, like, seconds before the press conference. Like, they really should have timed that a little better.
Yeah.
Like, let's dump every criminal file we have, and again, like, it's taking place in, sometime in, like, the 2020s, 2030s. And they said they were updating him with every CCTV feed from 2011 forward. Yeah, they do that 5 minutes before his unveiling.
Yeah, and he seizes out and, like, goes into, like, a state of shock and shit. Like, wow, they really should have picked a different time for this. But, I mean, that overall arc I did like, because I liked him progressively becoming more of a machine as the movie was going along.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of interesting how they played with that instead of just directly copying the other one. The movie as a whole, it's entertaining enough. It's fine. Kinnaman, I thought, was great.
Kinnaman was great. The action sequences were pretty solid, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like...
They weren't fantastic, but they were pretty solid.
It's not the giant CGI the CGI splooge that you see in some of the clips. Like, the clip's been floating around of when he's fighting the Ed 209s.
Yeah.
That's like one scene, and it's the only scene that's any remotely like that.
And it's so quick, and there's so much going on. Like, when you're seeing just an isolated clip of it, it's like, wow, that's a lot, but it's so...
When it plays out, it was fine.
When it plays out, it was fine. I like that he had to, like, shoot his own arm off. I like that he got the piss taken out of him in this movie.
He wasn't like a fucking tank like he was in the first one.
And even the first one, he got pretty roughed up. And this one, he really does.
Yeah.
He's by the end of it, he kind of looks not unlike Arnold at the end of the second Terminator. He's got an arm missing. He's got like a fucking gaping hole in his chest, like helmet, like kind of halfway blasted off.
It actually had cuts on his face.
Yeah.
Like, I like that they actually acknowledged the fact that, like, that would happen.
I did like that. I did like that they acknowledged that when Jackie Earl just flat out says don't get shot in the face. I did like that.
And too, like, it's hard to really notice it too much, but like that scene when he was taking down the kind of Clarence Bodiger type guy. Like, he's running around like they're shooting back at him. Like, he's actually, like, when he's running for cover, like, he's keeping, you know, like, an arm up in front of his face while he's running for cover.
It's no joke. He solves his entire murder in, like, 5 minutes of this movie. Like, the whole last 45 minutes of the first RoboCop is just 5 minutes of this movie, and it's, like, maybe an hour into it.
But the shitty thing is, the way they set it up, it makes sense that he solves it in 5 minutes.
I mean, it
sucks that that's the way it played out. It should have been longer.
Yeah,
but
for storytelling purposes. I mean, I'm not saying it was necessarily unrealistic. I just mean it was fast. I mean,
it was
from a storytelling point.
There's about 3 plot lines, and they could have picked one and followed it.
Yeah.
But overall, it wasn't terrible.
Overall,
it wasn't even bad. It was okay.
It's not. I mean, I know it's going to be. I know it'll probably make people mad, but
I mean, the internet's gonna get mad because it's the internet.
Well,
I mean, and there is stuff that's wrong with this movie, but it is not one of the worst movies of the year. It is not one of the worst remakes. It's not worth, I wouldn't say it's worth a full price. I think it's easily worth a matinee.
It's definitely a rental. I mean, I'll probably watch it again just to, like, sit down and actually watch it again.
I don't know if I'd ever watch it again.
But I'm expecting to see tomorrow.
I don't have to watch movies as much as you do.
But I mean, I'm fully well expecting tomorrow, like, you know, like, oh, what's on Facebook? So worst piece of shit ever saw in my fucking life. Oh, fuck. Like, I'm fully well expecting.
It's not. We're at movies every single week. We see the worst of the worst. This is not one of the worst of the worst.
Especially for a release this time of year.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
for a remake.
Honestly,
for a remake,
like, if we're talking just like comparing it as far as remakes go, I call this solid.
It's okay. It's not one of the. It's.
Well, I'm not saying like it's you know,
that it's one of the best remakes.
No, by no means.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a fair reimagining. It's a fair adaptation of the works. You know,
And they had the balls to take it in a different direction without
in such a different direction,
without being douchey about it. Really, you
or
know.
when they do things like you said earlier, like the references, like showing like, you know, the classic outfit, or, you know, like Jackie Earle using the, you know, buy that for $1 line. Like, it just comes across as like stuff that's happening.
And it was only twice in the movie.
Like,
It wasn't
when
enough
Jackie Earle
to...
says that, it sounds like something like, you know what, that sounds like something that he would just say. The way they wrote his character.
Yeah,
Well-
it wasn't with the breaking the fourth wall with a wink and a nod. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, the wink and the nod was intended, but it wasn't like shoved in your fucking face.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, I know we've all seen remakes where they've
Yeah.
handled shit like that much fucking
Oh my
clumsier.
God.
And it's like,
Yeah.
like, I bet I could shoehorn this in there. Like, no, I mean, for the way he acts and the way his dialogue was written, that came across as something he would probably say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I
They
mean, like...
used it in comfortably to say.
And also the fact that they didn't do that a lot. Really, they only, again, they only did that twice. If they did that a lot, that same line from him in that same instance would have been annoying. But
Yeah.
they did. It like, even when it shows the old suit, it was just like, here's a model we have. And it wasn't even disrespectful to it. Like, Michael Keaton was like, yeah, it's okay. Let's see what else we have. It wasn't like, oh, that's ugly. Get that off the screen.
No,
it wasn't anything like that. And if anything, that scene was like a knock towards Transformers. Because the next one was like,
All angles and lights and
sirens show up on his shoulders. Like, he's like, the kids like things that transform, and Michael Keaton's like, yeah, no, that's horrible. That's terrible. Get that out of here. And the suit, honestly, I thought the suit was fine.
Yeah, and you know,
I like the gray better than the black, but the black was fine.
it did
I
make
think the
sense
gray-
the way they presented it
Yeah.
too. Like make him tactical. Like, that makes sense because
Yeah.
the rest of the cops weren't running around in silver bulletproof vests. They were running around in, like, you know, black and dark blue. So it made sense to make him black. Like, having all the giant blindingly red lights on, like, the helmet and visor and down his back and everything.
Hey,
Maybe not
something
so
to shoot at.
Maybe not so tactical, but
Yeah. But, I mean, you're right. It perfectly made sense why that he looked like that.
It made more sense.
I mean, from a looks perspective, I thought the suit in this movie. I'm not talking about the original, but in this movie, I liked it better when the one he had at the start of it and the one he had at the end. But again, for the people who built him, the reason why they built him, what they want him to look like, it made sense that they turned him black.
Because it's very marketing oriented. But I like too that he actually had, like,
The
Murphy's badge, like, stamped into the chest piece. Like, I actually kind of liked that.
I mean, it was. I did like that he was basically Robo Holder. From The Killing. He is so great on The Killing. Oh my god. If you haven't seen The Killing, fucking watch The Killing, and he is great on it. And in this, I'm not saying that like a knock. I thought it was like kind of funny that you could kind of see Holder a couple of times in it when he's sort of with his family and whatnot. I kind of liked that. Speaking of that, I really could have done without the wife, quite honestly.
I thought the actress was fine. I thought the script handled it so poorly.
She does nothing.
She was just very one note, but
oh god,
they never wrote her anything to do.
No, they didn't.
Like literally every time you see her, it's either she's a grieving widow or she's
a grieving
being kept from being, you know, kept from her husband. She's worried for her son. And then she goes back to thinking that she's a grieving widow.
My God,
they never
give this character another note. Jesus,
Yeah, they never gave her any fucking thing at all
Because
to do.
there was a point in the movie where they could have taken that character in a really interesting direction, and they just passed it by.
They do nothing interesting with that character. Like, my God, I miss the fact that character wasn't in the first movie. They handled that, even when that character showed up in the second one, I thought they handled it way better in the second one. Every time the grieving wife popped up in this, the movie just dropped dead to me. Like, fuck me, this could all be cut out of the goddamn movie.
Yeah. No, and that's one of those things where I was like I said,
A couple more rewrites.
Yeah, a couple more passes at the script. You know, somebody who's a little better with characters. Because I thought the actress did a fine job with what she had.
She was fine. I mean, yeah.
But all she had to do was cry and look sorrowful towards the distance.
The kid wasn't overly annoying. That most kids movies I find really annoying.
Yeah, he wasn't saying anything about being chocolate wasted, so he was fine.
There is one thing that did kind of bug me. I mean, there's always stuff that, like, even in the first one, there's wild inconsistencies and stuff. But for this one, trying to handle things in a much more like procedural cop way, when it was actually doing some like sort of cop stuff. They keep mentioning that he is still Detective Alex Murphy, but he's just riding around. He's a fucking beat cop. After they turn him into RoboCop, he's just going around like, it's like, here's a crime in progress. Shoot somebody, arrest them. Like, I don't know. Like, the most detective work he did was solving his own actual murder. The rest of it is just running around being a beat cop, which made sense in the first one. That's all he was when he started off.
Yeah.
He was just
he was RoboCop. I mean, they didn't even call him, they didn't want him to know who he was in the first movie. And yeah, he was. And in this, I mean, I didn't have. It was just one of those things. Like, it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
But
I think there was like one. It was the scene where the chief is giving the little breakdown of what's going to happen now that he's going to be in the office, and the music was playing over her fucking speech, but what she was basically saying was like, any case he decides to handle, it goes through him now, no questions, no. Like, so basically he had carte blanche to just do whatever the fuck he wanted.
I liked that when he went into the when the cops
turned him
meeting,
into fucking Judge Dredd.
I'm going to be searching for this person, and this person. Thank you for your cooperation. That was pretty fun. The movie does have funny parts in it. Like when he'll just when he confronts the corrupt cops and just up and shoots them as he's walking away. I mean, it doesn't have near the humor of the first one, but I mean there are parts that are kind of funny. Jackie Earle has funny moments in it. Samuel Jackson
when he goes fucking straight Hannity and just cuts somebody off. Mid-sentence, go the fuck away.
Yeah, he's standing in the Situation Room, and then at the end when he just becomes Samuel L. Jackson and calls Gary Oldman like a motherfucker and is dropping Samuel L. bombs left and right in the last scene.
Which I like that how they managed to get away with having those in there and still keeping it a PG-13 because since his show was technically a televised program, they were able to
and it wasn't overly annoying.
But yeah,
it actually kind of made it funnier.
What movie was that you guys went to that actually
that they dropped an F-bomb in a newsreel?
No. You guys went to some movie where they actually had to like edited like that for like the actual movie, like bleeping the words, doesn't there?
Not bleeping, they were cutting out syllables, and I'm trying to remember.
I've seen movies that, I mean, there was like Die Hard 4 that muffled is the motherfucker with a gunshot. I mean, I've seen stuff where they kind of have done that. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't. What I thought they were kind of gonna do at the end, when it like pulled back and showed the people who were filming Samuel L.'s show, I was like, wait, is it gonna reveal that this is all based in like Omnicorp or something like that? That honestly would have made fucking sense.
That would have actually been a really good thing if they would have panned back and it was...
Yeah, it was all the Omnicorp people, like, running it. Like, I kind of thought that's where they were going,
and it was vaguely confusing, too, because he also mentions that Omnicorp, which is the company in this one, is actually a subsidiary of OCP.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so there is actually an OCP in this
in this universe,
continuity.
Yeah.
It's just slightly different than Omnicorp.
Oh yeah, it's dimension to OCP's Miramax.
Owned by Disney.
Oh, sorry, I only know my movie studio references from the 90s, apparently. Well, I mean, are they still standing outside?
I don't know. I think they're in Brian's truck. Yeah, they're in Brian's truck.
Oh, right. Well, I guess we should probably... I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, if you're already really, really, really preset to hate it, there's probably no point in you seeing it, because no matter what it does, you'll probably still hate it.
Yeah, you'll find something you don't like if you go into it thinking that. But like, if you just wanted to see like a decent enough action film, I mean, it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
And you know, it could be definitely kicked up a little bit, but yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for something this weekend to watch,
it's serviceable.
It's completely watchable.
It's in no way, shape, or form, in terms of how good it is, comparable to the first one.
No, it's not. But
it is not the worst RoboCop product.
Yeah, but as a fan of the first one, I didn't leave this one seething with hatred. I was just like, that was okay.
Neither did I. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. If you're going into it out of curiosity and as an open mind, honestly, the ending product is pretty much like the trailer. I mean, the trailer is a good representation of this movie.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, if you watch the trailer and you're so curious, check it out. If that pissed you off enough, then
just don't. You'll only make yourself mad.
It's, you know. And if you're one of those people that doesn't really give a fuck, wait till it comes out on video, you know.
That's how I would recommend it, as a matinee or video or something like that.
Go see the Lego movie. It's still fucking playing.
Yes, go see. Yeah. Go see the Lego movie.
Definitely don't go like to this on like Valentine's Day though. This is not a Valentine's date movie.
What, they should see Endless Love instead?
Exactly.
I'll find that out.
Season.
I'll find that out fucking tomorrow. God damn it.
Yeah. I'm not.
I hope it still has the same theme song. Bring back the Lionel Richie classic.
I hope it still has Tom Cruise in it for no reason.
Right! As the same character, that would be kind of great.
Still at that school.
I wish it had Spader in it.
Spader honestly could play the dad.
Exactly!
You know, he really could.
That'd be way too tense, though.
But they did get Bruce Greenwood to play the tense dad in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's kind of tense and threatening, but in more of a dad way, not like...
I think my dad might also be a serial murderer.
It's like, turns out he's doing the same shit.
Man! Fucking Endless Love. Yeah, you and I both saw it years ago, the 80s one. Having watched the original this week, it's probably worse than you remember it. It was worse than what I fucking remembered.
I don't remember it being good anyway.
Neither did I, but it was having to watch it while so closely that I have to take notes on it. That can make anything worse. Oh, here's the part where he burns their house down. What? Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. See ya.